So I am Naomi Preston-Low. I was born in Ilford, East London, and lived there for my whole childhood and teenage years. I went to a Saturday school when I was younger, and that's how I sort of got into acting. I always knew that I loved it, and I always thought that I'd try and make a go of it and see how far I got. And then if one day I didn't want to do it anymore, then I'd stop doing it. But that day hasn't happened yet, and I don't see it happening for quite a while. So yeah, I went to the Brit School as soon as I was old enough to as a teenager, and then from there I went straight to Guildhall Drama School, Guildhall School of Music and Drama in the Barbican, and did a 3-year acting training then, and then graduated into COVID. So that was not
Yeah.
exactly what I'd planned for, but yeah, I've been working in the industry ever since. Yeah, and this role that I've got at the minute is Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice, sort of. And I feel like the luckiest person on the planet to have this role. Honestly, I'm having the best time ever. She's such a strong character, and it's the role of a lifetime. It's absolutely unbelievable. I'm so lucky.
And as I say, it's just the most joyous show, like feel good. It's got everything in it, comedy, heart, music.
Yes.
It's got a bit of everything
Music,
in it.
songs, yeah, exactly. So the thing when I first read the script that immediately drew me to it, and I was like, oh, I'd kill to be in this, was that it sticks so strongly to the story. It's very faithful to the book,
Yeah.
in Prejudice, but it's got so many things along the way that have been added in to make it modern and to make it that anyone that sees it can relate to it and find something in it that resonates for them. Especially the music. All the other girls play musical instruments in it. We have live music as well as recorded tracks. And I get to sing You're So Vain, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes I'm sure I don't do it justice, but I have the best time doing it.
And do you kind of know the show before you kind of took on the role? Was it kind of, were you aware of it? Had you seen it?
I was aware of it. I hadn't seen it. Interestingly, I think for this cast, because we're the next sort of generation to take it on,
Yeah.
none of us in the cast had actually seen it before. So I think I'd heard so much about it in this amazing reputation. I'd read the script, but I actually had nothing in my mind to sort of compare it to. So I think that was a blessing in a way because we could come into it with a really fresh sort of attitude. We had nothing that we were thinking, oh, well, they used to do it like that or anything like that. It was just taking this amazing legacy and thinking, right, here we are. How can we play with it? And Isabel MacArthur, who obviously wrote it and directed it for our version as well, was absolutely extraordinary in guiding us through that process and she obviously knows the show inside out and upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won the Olivier for it, so it was amazing to be directed by her. And yeah, she helped us every step of the way.
And as we say, it's kind of like a modernish take on the story, but with kind of the traditional elements. But why do you think this production remains relevant for an audience in 2025?
I think it's I think there's something about it that is like there's a really amazing old-fashioned sort of humor to it. There's like almost sort of slapstick elements and it's so witty. The writing is so clever. And there's different characters that every person can resonate to. And I think as well because we're a cast of 5 young women who are telling this story, and it's the version of the servants telling the story of Pride and Prejudice. So it's got that angle in it as well. But I think everywhere we go in the country, people can sort of relate to that and think, oh yeah, well that's just, working class people having a go and having a laugh. And it's there's a lot of light-hearted entertainment there, which I think is so relevant, especially with how things are in the world at the minute. I think it's really important to be able to go and just have a laugh and see people taking up space and having a go. And yeah.
And do you ever feel like a pressure when you are telling such a classic story to deliver certain moments of that story?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I did a lot, especially before I came into it. I think I was really in my head and I was thinking, gosh, you're taking on this role that people will have preconceived ideas about.
Yeah.
But actually, there's something in it that is just like, this is me, and this is sort of my interpretation of it. And I've done like as much research as I possibly could, and you do all the work on it, and then you think, right, this is the best that I've got, and you give it to people to enjoy and make their interpretation of as well.
And as you say, kind of you're playing servants who are then telling the story.
Yeah.
Obviously, you start the show in the audience. What's that like when you kind of are there in the audience kind of before the show's beginning?
I love it. It's actually one of my favorite bits of the show. I thought going into it that it'd be one of the bits that I wouldn't like at all, but
Yeah,
actually, we go into the audience, there's all this improvisation. You see the people there that you're going to connect with and tell this story to. Some of the other girls are a bit cheeky and pinch a sweetie or something from
yeah.
them, but I've not been quite brave enough to do that yet. But I've got my toilet plunger and I'm sort of going to solicit help from all the others to try and get like to come and help me with the loo. So yeah, it's always really good fun. It's a chance as well for us to connect with each other. We all have a moment just to check in character and yeah, then go up and tell the story.
And how do you kind of then prepare for a performance when you like say you know you're going to be in the audience to start with? You kind of there's nowhere to hide, is there really? Kind of with that.
No, exactly. But I think that's one of the best things about it. You know, it's not there's also no time during the show for us to sit down and
Yeah,
sort of, take yourself out of it. Like as soon as it begins, as soon as we walk out of those doors and we're into the audience, immediately you have to be present because you're speaking to people, they're responding back to you. And it's sort of that is the point where we walk out of the doors where we think, right, this is it, and it's 2 hours and it's straight through, and then we can take a breather when we finish at the end.
and then you've been on tour for a little while now with the show. How what
Yeah.
kind of do you think that has taught you a about yourself and then also about the character along the way?
Oh, that's an amazing question. It's something that I've sort of been reflecting on. I think this particular play has given me so much more confidence than I had before. I never imagined that I'd get to do anything like this. And I think doing it for this amount of time, we've done it for 6 months now, we've got
Yeah.
probably another 5, 6 months to go. You get into a place where you think you make peace with how the performances go. And so you think, I'm not going to be in my head and really beat myself up about that particular thing that didn't quite go as right. Or you can't think, oh, that worked really well yesterday, but it didn't work as well today. I think you get much better at acceptance within your craft and within the show. And that's very interlinked, like as an actor and a performer for your craft, taking it forwards. I've learned so much. I think I thought that I'd really struggle with getting into a new venue every week and
Yeah.
sort of I thought, well, how will I ever be able to do that? And now I do it with such ease. And on the first day, there is a moment where you think, oh, I don't know where I am, I don't know where I'm going, but you deal with that and you just it's given me so many more skills, even different shapes of the stages and different auditoriums. You really have to think about what will read to the people, where are people
Yeah.
sitting? Can they hear? What are the acoustics like of the theatre? And that's the bit that I love the most because I'm such a little theatre geek and it's the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to get to interrogate that.
And obviously, you say you're working with the kind of fellow castmates. I mean, seeing you guys on like social media just feels like you're all like a sort of sisterhood. Like the bond you guys have got just on tour must be amazing.
It is, it is. It's such a cliche, but I really do feel like I'm just on a trip with my best friends as well. Like, I think we formed a bond very, very quickly, and we've continued that through. And we're so lucky that we all get along really well because also every day you do just have a laugh with your mates. There's a moment where you sort of catch eyes with someone and you think, this is really fun. It's the best job in the world.
And then, how do you remain in character? Say if something does go wrong, or something one character does something like a choice that kind of throws you a little bit. How do you kind of remain in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's different every time that happens. There's different circumstances. Like, there's so many different props within the play, and like things do often go wrong with that. But I think all of us have got so much better, especially as the tour has gone on, at dealing with those things in the moment. And the sort of ace card that we have is that we're all playing the servant. So if something does go wrong, you whip off your costume, you're back into the servant character. You can go and mop up something that's spilt on the floor or pick up something. Yeah, it's a good challenge to be able to keep, you can never sort of switch off or rest.
And I guess it's good that kind of the show, like you say, has got those different styles, like drama, the comedy, and the music that kind of gives you that free reign to kind of cover over someone if you needed to.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And then, kind of obviously, as you say, there is a bit of singing in there. You did say, like,
Yes.
but what would be your go-to karaoke song if you were picking one?
Oh, great question. I think uh oof, probably Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
Yeah,
An oldie but a goodie. Get up and have a laugh.
yeah. I got sent your like cast fact file. I'm obsessed with like your music choices on there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing as well, like being with all the different girls because we all have come from such different backgrounds. And it's amazing that we've all had a chance to sort of be in together. We're all from such different places. And I feel like I've got such a wider education in terms of people's different music choices and things like that. We spent so much time in the dressing room. So now we've really got through those playlists and so much time in the car as well, traveling from place to place.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then if you could switch and you could interview Elizabeth, what question do you think you would like to ask her about her life and her choices that she makes?
That's really interesting. Do you know, I think, as amazing a question as that is, I think I find that one of the most interesting things about the play. That
Yeah,
I feel like she goes on a journey of being this sort of obstinate sort of what is she? She's very sort of headstrong and makes judgments very quickly. But then throughout the piece, you see her kind of get her comeuppance with that. And actually she realizes that she shouldn't be like that. And by the end of the play, she's gone on this full journey arc of saying, I'm really sorry. And I can't believe that I behaved like that. And, I'll never do that ever again. And I think it's that journey that is amazing to explore because I think she does learn her lessons. And it's also sort of a coming of age story. I think there's definitely moments, in my past where I've made snap decisions or been a bit rude on the off cuff or something like that. And you think, actually, it's part of growing up to realize that, you've made that mistake and have some more self-awareness.
yes. And you kind of touched on it earlier about your beginnings in theatre wear, but what was the kind of first piece of theatre that you remember having a big impact on you that made you want to do it?
Wow. I think I was really lucky in that I was born in East London, so I could go to the theatre quite a lot. And my parents were so good at taking me to see all sorts of different things. But actually, I think there was a piece in 2016 when Denise Gough did People, Places and Things.
Yeah.
Um, I was at Brit, and I think it was 2016, maybe in 2014. And I was at the Brit School, and we went to go and see it. And it honestly renewed in me. Like, I knew that was what I wanted to do with my life, but seeing her performance in that, I was like, gosh, there is nothing else in this world that I would rather do. Like that for me was so seismic, and I didn't really. It was so gritty and raw, and a woman really sort of experiencing all this sort of ugliness. And for me, that was the thing that made me just think, gosh, I feel changed from having been to see that. So, yeah, yeah.
Amazing. And then what kind of keeps you inspired to keep performing? Obviously, like you say, 6 months into a tour, I'm sure you get days where you're a bit tired or whatever. What kind of keeps you inspired?
For me, it's going to each of these places and that bit at the beginning where we get out and see the audience. There is it's quite moving because you think these people have left their homes and they've come to the theatre to be entertained and they don't know what is about to come next. Even if I've done it 100 times, they don't know. And that is the thing for me that just every single time that you see someone that hasn't seen it before, you just think, right. And even people that have seen it before that have come because they love it. Like you were saying, you've seen it
Yeah.
before and you just think, gosh, it's an amazing responsibility to think, this is where people's expectations are and here's where I can take it. Yeah, it's amazing. But I never have a day where I feel like I can't be bothered. It hasn't gone off. I feel like the luckiest person in the world. So yeah.
And yeah, like I say, I'm reading your fact file. I'm obsessed with like the career you've had, like some of the jobs you've already done, like it's incredible, like the variety you've already had in like your life.
Yeah, I've been so lucky as well, and I think so much of that comes from my parents. Like nobody in my family is an actor or creative in any way, and they really let me lead. If I'd have had that passion for football, they would have taken me to football all these different times a week. Do you know what I mean? But I think because it was acting, they just put all of the resources that they possibly had into helping me to achieve my dream, and I was so fortunate. And being on the West End like so early on, I was so lucky. Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with just the character name they've given you on Bridgerton, this big handsome young lady. It's like, you can give you a character name.
I know. I didn't know whether to take that as a compliment or not. I was thinking
Yeah,
handsome.
yeah, yeah.
So, Yeah.
And also Mudlarks. I was watching the trailer earlier. I mean, I've not seen it, but I've only seen the trailer. Looks so good.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'll have to see if I can get you a link. I'd love to share it with you. That was a highlight of my career, absolutely. With The Incredible Miriam Mack, directed by Dominic Gilday, and we all knew each other from drama school, and it was the most extraordinary experience telling this story about young homeless girls who live on the banks of the River Thames and do mudlarking to find things from the past and then sell them so they can have a better life. Um, yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
Incredible. I recommend everyone just go watch the trailer anyway, because it looks
Oh,
so good just from the trailer. So
thank you so much. That's so kind.
I'm fully sold. But also on
Oh,
the fact file, I'm obsessed that you love The Apprentice and that you'd like want them all to come and watch the show.
I love The Apprentice. Are you watching the new series?
Off. I work at a theatre as well, so sometimes it's like a
Oh,
nightmare to kind of get home. Then I fell asleep in one the other week. The one that went to Warwick Castle. I woke up and like the BBC Two one, the one after
yeah, yeah,
that was on. I
yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
oh, blurred. I missed out everything.
yeah, it's ruined it. Who's gone
Yeah,
out? Oh, yeah. That's another thing about working theatre. You know, your evenings are
yeah,
always taken up, so you get very good at doing things for brunch or meeting people during the day and finding. Like, I love going to the different cities and finding museums or galleries or things that you can go and do in each different place.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
sometimes like social media, like say just open it and like, oh, there you go, spoiled.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But to kind of wrap everything up beautifully, for anyone who hasn't booked yet, see Pride and Prejudice, sort of, why
Yeah.
should they do so?
I think they should do so because I think you will definitely enjoy it, no matter where you come from, whether you go to the theatre a lot or have never been before. It's the most amazing entry level. If you know anything about the book, or if you don't know anything about the book, if you have sort of judgments about what the book may be, or that perhaps it's not for you, I would say 100% book a ticket and just come and find out. You don't need to know anything about it before you see it. Everything will be explained along the way. And it's very light-hearted. There's nothing in it that's, particularly difficult to have to go through or anything like that. And yeah, it's touring the country. So yeah, find a place to see it near
You
you.
have no excuse. I mean, I give it 5 stars twice. So, I mean,
Oh,
there you
thank you
go.
so
In
much.
both productions, I've give it 5 stars. So,
That's so kind. Thank you so
and
much. Amazing.
I'd never, well, I'd seen like I don't know if you've ever seen, there's like a musical version of the Pride and Prejudice that was on Amazon Prime, I think, for a while. It's like an
Oh,
American one.
really?
That was
Oh,
like,
no, I've not seen
it
it.
was the only version I'd seen. I hadn't seen any like the classic TV versions. I'd not read the book. So I like
Yeah.
came blind and obsessed.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind.
So
So kind.
everyone, you must go.
Yes, please.
And
Yes,
it
please.
just leaves me to say that you are on tour, as you say, you are on tour until the 14th of June in Southampton, where you finish.
Yes, absolutely.